Hello and welcome to the first episode of using my TBR jar to tackle my shelves. So Tackle My Shelves is a project that I have started in order to read down the books that are stacked up on top of the books on my bookshelves. So I'm not worrying about the fact that they're double stacked. There are books behind these books. On almost all my shelves, but I'm taking it one step at a time, and I am reading down the books that are on the top of my shelves. So one way I wanted to do that is by going through the TBR jar. I see Emily Fox on BookTube do this with her Read It or Unhaul It, and while I didn't exactly get this idea from her, I kind of heard about the TBR jar other places. She kind of was the one who made me want to do this because she gets through so many books. You never know when you're going to pick out a book. It makes you read it and then you get 10 pages in and you're like, yep, I did not want to read this. I thought I did. So I will be pulling one book at a time out of here, showing you what it is, and then I will read it and then I will tell you what I think about it along the way. So first one. Give it a big old mix. There's no rhyme or reason to the ones that are in here. They're all white. They're all tiny pieces of paper. And so I'm trying to reach in towards the middle. Every once in a while I take them out and I mix them all up on the floor and then I have to put back in tiny little pieces. Okay. Number one is... Ooh, this one, the title was so big I couldn't write it all. Dragons of Autumn Twilight. So this is a Dragonlance novel. I keep it over here. Oh, here it is. So I found books 1 and 3 of this series at a little free library and picked them up. My husband had tried to read them. He didn't get on with them. He had them out from the library a while ago, but something about them, I don't know if it's the title or these amazing covers, that just makes me want to try it. And they were from a little free library. So this will be my first read. I will give it a try and I will come back and tell you how I feel and if I want to continue reading it or if I'm going to unhaul it. This one would be nice if I either read them all or get rid of them. I would be getting rid of this one and another one. So we'll see how it goes. All right, checking in. I have finished the first chapter of this book and I have to say I'm surprised. I'm really enjoying it. I read it when I was out on a walk with my dog this morning and it's very like D&D inspired, which I didn't read a lot of fantasy when D&D was like the hype. So I didn't read a lot of fantasy that was like, here's your elf and your dwarf and your human and they all have these roles and it's this party coming together at a tavern. I didn't read all of that. And so the vibes that this is giving me, I'm actually really enjoying. So we get introduced to a couple people who know each other, mostly a dwarf and an elf, who known each other. They've both been off doing something and they kind of like come across each other's paths. I don't know if it's purposeful, like they plan to meet up. And then another character comes who is some kind of fantasy creature. I can't remember the name of it. So the three of them are like, let's go get something to eat. And so it kind of seems like maybe they were meaning to meet back up after having gone and done some things on their own. And I just really enjoyed it. I thought it was fun and interesting. The town is called Solace, or the little village that they're at, and it's actually built like in the treetops in these like living trees. And so the inn that's being described is so cute and cozy, like living inside this living tree. There's a little inn and with like a fireplace, and it just sounds so cute. And I actually think this might be a perfect fall read, which would be amazing because it's fall right now. And so it's just totally fitting the vibes, and I'm definitely gonna continue on with this, and hopefully I'll read the whole thing and love it. Hello, I'm gonna try to do this handheld. I have decided to unhaul this book, which I picked from my TBR jar on Bookstagram. So if you're not following me there, you should. I do some of these over there. I decided to DNF this. I read like 6 pages and I wasn't interested. So that means I have a little bit of room down at the bottom of this shelf. So I have a little space right here. I actually had a little more space than I thought there. So I'm going to see how many of these we can squeeze down in there, because that would be almost one shelf solved if we could get all of them in. We will be able to do it. So that is one shelf solved. I still have quite a few books on this middle shelf. Is kind of packed, but as you can see down there, there are no books on top, even in the back. So that is one shelf that is completely finished. Yay! Hello, I'm here because I'm still working on Dragons of Autumn Twilight as my previous book that I randomly picked from my jar, but the sun is starting to set quite early now, so when I take my pup for walks in the evening and actually in the morning, it's kind of dark out. So instead of being able to carry a book with me, I need something that I can read on my ebook or my phone. And Dragons of Autumn Twilight has like a super long wait for ebooks at both my libraries. So we're going to pick another one until we find something that can be read on my e-reader. So here we go. Just going straight down in the middle again. And hopefully you'll be able to read this. Ooh. Hopefully you can see that. The Glass Motel. So this is by Emily St. John Mandel, and I'm gonna need to check and see if it's available as an ebook. I'm not sure. Let me go see. Nope, that one has a super long wait on it as well. So let's pick something else. We'll put that one back in. Let's see. Okay, I'll try to show you guys first, though it might be upside down. So, well, I think it is upside down. Okay. Wild Shore. Oh, this is by Kim Stanley Robinson. This is the first in a dystopian trilogy. Let me see if that one is available. Not yet. Okay, here we go. Another one. We will find something that is available on audiobook today. Okay, here we go. I think this is the right way. What do we have? Burning Your Boats. I have read this one. This is Angela Carter. Well, I didn't read it. I DNF'd it. I don't get along super well with Angela Carter's short stories, and this is just a really big bind up of it, and so I gave that away. So I'll put that one way over there. Let's pick something that hopefully I haven't read, and something that's available, please. Okay, here we go. What is this one? Beauty by Sherry Stepper. I just DNF'd this. That's super funny. I just read that earlier. It's right here because I was filming a video about how I DNF'd it. Okay, here we go. Another one. A bunch of them stuck together. Okay. I think... Oh, that's... Oh. Future Home of the Living God. I have unhauled that one. I no longer have that one. Let's try again. Some of these have been in here for so long. No Time to Spare. That is an Ursula K. Le Guin nonfiction essay collection, I think. Let me see if that one's available. And it was! Yay! Okay, so we had to pull a lot of books. Some of them I've already read, so that's great. But we have a book, so nonfiction collection. That'll be kind of nice just for when I'm taking my dog on a walk. It doesn't need to be like a story. It'll just be like essays, I think, her reflections on life and writing. I'm intrigued and excited. Okay, I'm back. I have finished No Time to Spare. I finished it on the walk this evening, and I really enjoyed this one. This is one I picked up on a whim at a library book sale, and it's been sitting on my shelves a few years since then, so I'm glad I got to this. This is a nonfiction book from Ursula K. Le Guin, and it's just pieces from her blog, mostly around like 2010 to 2014, I think, is most of them. They're kind of pulled in a variety of different categories, so they're not all in order or anything. It's just her musings on different things in life. Some of them were more interesting than others, but this really didn't take me long to read. It was, I don't know, maybe 8 walks or something. It's only 230 pages. 200 pages, actually. But overall, I enjoyed this one. I think if you like Ursula K. Le Guin and you just want to know more about her as a person and some of her random thoughts that she shared on her blog, I think you would enjoy this one. I thought it was a nice read. That means we need to pick another book and hopefully find one that I can read while I'm walking. So we're still looking for ebooks that are available from the library right now, which can be kind of tricky, but we got there with No Time to Spare. So let's see. Hopefully this will be a winner on the first try. So this one, oh, I have read this one, The Forgotten Beasts of Eld by Patricia McKillip. That's one of her better ones. I enjoyed that one when I read it. I read it a couple years ago physically. Let's see. This one? A Song for Arbonne. I think that might be Guy Gavriel Kay. Let me check. This is another one of my mass market paperbacks. Those have been really popular in this challenge. I pulled out a lot of those. Let me see if I have it from the library though. Okay, that one's not available, so we're gonna need to put that one back, and I'm gonna pick again. Okay, here we go. Smoke and Mirrors. I am no longer reading Neil Gaiman because of the allegations against him. Believe what you want to believe about it. They're just allegations at this point, but I'm choosing to not read him anymore. I didn't like his stuff that much before anyways, so skipping past that one. I've actually unhauled all the ones of his that I owned. Dead Man's Folly. This is an Agatha Christie. That would be perfect for October. Okay, let me see. This one might be a good one I could get from the library ebook wise. Let me go check. Okay, so technically it's not available right now from the library, but I never pick up Agatha Christie physically. I actually have this one. Let me go grab it real quick. I mean, look at this cover. It's so great. I love the idea of picking this one to read this one. That's one of the reasons I wanted to do this challenge, because it's going to make me pick up books I wouldn't otherwise. And this is going to be short. It's under 200 pages. It's like 180 pages. And perfect for October. I'm in the spooky mood. So I placed a hold. It should be available in about 2 weeks, though usually things come through a little sooner than that, I find at my libraries. So I'm going to just find something else to read. I'm currently reading Wool by Hugh Howey. So I might just put that on my Kindle because I think that's available, and I could read that for a little bit while I wait for this one to come in, and then I will jump into this. I'm excited to read this one. doing my best to figure out how to film because this section is right between my bed and my bookshelves and there's not a lot of space. So we're just trying out some different angles to see how I can best show off what I have going on. Now, obviously there's a glaring problem here, which is that we have these huge stacks of books that clearly do not fit on the bookshelves. So when I say that I really need to do this project, this is one of the reasons why. But today I need to shelve some books from my recent book haul. So I need to figure out a sort of way to shelve them. So let's just see what I can do. The first stack is my mystery horror, and that's going to go down here on the bottom. Okay, well, they fit without too much finagling. They fit right here, but it is adding a lot of books on top of them, which is the opposite of what I want to do. Next, I have some like literary fiction, and I'm going to switch sides because my literary fiction shelves are over here. And I do have a space down there. That's where these two books were. So I'm going to see if it'll fit over there. Okay, perfect. I slid those three in right there. So that's not adding to the problem. I need to go to my sci-fi fantasy shelves and see where I can put this. This is what we're working with over here. This is actually one of the better shelves. I do have that huge stack there of books that I need to read. That's the space for Way of Kings and Rhythm of War, which I'm currently in the middle of. Actually, Mariel needs to go on my series pile. She's there. That's my library pile. I'm taking a huge bunch of library books back because next year I'm not going to be reading as much from the library, so I need to read as many of these as I can before the end of the year. Okay, so luckily I only have two to put over here. And I think there's not really any wiggle room on this shelf, and Stormlight needs to go back in this space when I'm done reading it. So I'm just going to slip these in up here. So let me take you on a current tour of how the shelves are looking at the end of this challenge. Currently, we have 0 shelves that fit with what I'm working on because we have some books up there laying on top. This shelf is almost done, but not there. This one, clearly an issue. We got a long ways to go on this one. Same thing here. Quite a few books on top. Down at the bottom, we're looking okay down there. I would like to get this stack a little shorter because it is quite high, but not too bad. This shelf has some issues. This one is clear, and this one is clear. This shelf, we have some stacked books right there, and some Robin Hobb on that side. Lots of stackers on the bottom. And then this shelf is mostly all red. I'm rereading the Redwall series, so I'm not too worried about this one. This one is just kind of what it is. So, if I'm counting correctly, I think that means I have 3, maybe 4 shelves, depending on how strict I'm being about the one with the Stephen King stack on it. 3 shelves that are finished, and 9 more that desperately need some work. So that's kind of where we're at for this episode of Taming the Shelves. Hi, I'm here to give you an update on Dead Man's Folly. This is a little late because I actually decided to DNF it a week or two ago, and I just forgot to come film the update. So I gave it a good shot. I ended up getting it on ebook from the library and didn't have time to start it. So then I ended up getting it on audiobook because I did have time for an audiobook, and it was only 6 hours long, so I was like, this will be perfect. So this is a Hercule Poirot novel, and I'm not a huge fan of the Hercule stories by Agatha Christie. I've read The Murder on the Orient Express, and I felt it was fine. Everyone had been hyping it up so much that it really didn't live up to the hype as like one of her best books. And this one was kind of the same. This one was like a really late Poirot mystery. It was like number 31. So I don't know if it's like one of the better ones to read. But I just didn't like it. There was a murder. So it was supposed to be like a murder mystery party. And basically the victim who was supposed to be playing the victim actually became a victim. So it's like a clever setup for a mystery, but it just, I don't know, I was having a hard time paying attention. It felt like it took a really long time to get into the actual mystery, and then when they found like the dead body, I missed that. So then they were later talking about, well, where was the body found? And I was like, wait, what body? So clearly I wasn't paying very much attention to it. So I think I got maybe 60% of the way through. Like, I could have pushed myself to finish, but why? I wasn't enjoying it. And I looked up reviews and they said it was fine. So I just decided to put it down. I mean, the goal of this series is to like get books off of my shelves. So it worked out well. That one's done, and I just need to finish up The Dragons of Autumn Twilight, and that will be the last book for this episode. Hello. I am here because I wanted to update you on The Dragons of Autumn Twilight. I am deciding to DNF this book. I think there's been a lot of DNFs in this video, which just happens sometimes. Sometimes you just hit a lot of books that you've been putting off for a while, and sometimes the reason you've been putting them off is maybe because they're not the right book for me. This book had a really good opening, very autumnal and cozy feeling and interesting. About 50 pages in, we have our start of the mission where this group goes on the run, and I feel like the interest from there really dips down for me. I got about 85 pages in. I got about 7 chapters. Not a huge start, but I think enough just to know that my interest is not there. There's one character that I find very interesting, but we have a large cast of characters that we're following, and I feel like out of the 8 characters that we're following, if I only find 1 or 2 super interesting, that's not great. Because then the other characters just kind of, I'm not very interested in them. So the vast majority, at least 75% or so, I'm not that interested in. I think one of the things that I struggle with this is that they were an adventuring party, and then they're meeting after having split apart, and they're coming back together, and you don't get this feeling of getting to know what they were like as an adventuring party. They bicker. The dwarf just complains about absolutely everything. A couple of them just constantly are saying, no, we shouldn't do that. No, we shouldn't do that. One person is kind of like the leader, but not everyone likes that. And so they just have really messy dynamics as a group. And I also found it very hard to tell quite a few people apart. So we have Tanis and Sturm and Caramon, who are all 3 just like fighters. So Tanis is a half-elf fighter, Sturm is a knight, and then Caramon is just a warrior who's big. And I found them so difficult to tell apart. Like, if you're telling me about Sturm, I'm like, that's just a dude in this party. Like, I didn't have anything to truly, like, connect him to. There were some other things that kind of bugged me. I didn't feel like we had, like, a super strong direction that we were going. Like, they were just kind of on the run and trying to deal with this blue staff that we see on the cover, which has like magical properties. And part of this is my fault because I put the book down for like 2 or 3 months after picking it up, and I kind of forgot why exactly people were hunting down this staff and why it was so important to keep it out of their hands. Like, there's just like a big bad, sort of like the Theocrat, I think was his name, and I just didn't care that much. And I think sometimes when I put a book down and I don't get back to it, that tells me all I need to know, that I'm not prioritizing it and I'm not like chomping at the bit to get back to it. So I decided I was just going to put this down. There's no reason to force my way through. The fact that I was so far in, almost 100 pages, and my like for it was going down and we still have like such a huge chunk to go, I was like, I'm going to be forcing myself to get through this. So one thing that really bothered me was the lack of female characters in this book. Out of the 8 that we're following, one of them is a female character, and she's just kind of in love with this guy. She's like the chieftain's daughter who fell in love with someone that she shouldn't have, and so she kind of took off with him. And she was very non-interesting as a character. Didn't really have a choice in any of the decisions. She's just like going along with the running away. Like, she's not a driving force of the story. She's just there. And I know that's very common for older fantasy, but that doesn't mean I have to read it or like it. This was written in 1984, and it's sad because like, this has a female writer. Margaret Weiss is a female writer. So I just wish that there was more push for female characters in the space to be written, because they are interesting. And there are tons of female writers or female readers that I think would have really loved having more female characters to read about. So I'm just going to put this one down. I found it for free at a little free library, this one and the third one, so I can pass those on. They will be off my shelf, and this wraps up Taming the Shelves Vlog 1. Let me know if you liked the kind of random picking books off my shelves, and maybe let me know what other kinds of ways you'd like me to pick books, such as trying to read on one specific shelf until it's totally fixed and there are no books stacked on top, or maybe going for recommendations from people of which books to pick up. I'd love to know what kind of ideas you have for this series, what you would like to see. Otherwise, I'll just keep choosing what sounds good to me, which is fine too. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.